Right. Morning, everybody. I feel like we should have had some dry ice or something off that, so Esther, note for next year. Morning, everybody. This is the UK-wide VMware user group. For anybody who thinks they're here for something else, this is what you're here for. Also known as UserCon, depending on whose slide deck you're using. My name is Simon Gallagher, and I'll talk about myself in a minute when I remember which order the slides are in. So I think it's kind of important to point out that the overall sponsor of the VMUG programs is what you're currently seeing on the screen. So, do you like my presenting skills? That's good. So, my name is Simon Gallagher. We are the team that also organised the London event, but we also organised the national event. So, some of my colleagues are with us today. So, we've got Linda and Chris and Dave, who are wearing similar T-shirts to myself down the back. If you want to get hold of them, those are their Twitter handles. Just as an interesting point of survey here, who heard about this event via social media? Yeah, exactly. Social media is so done. No one uses that anymore. So, interesting. Okay, so has anybody here not been before to a VMUG event? Cool. So just as a general point of order here, okay, so none of us, the people who organised this event, work for VMware. You know, this isn't a company platform, any of that rubbish. You know, we're here, we are volunteers. We are all end users like yourselves. You know, I work for a bank. My colleague at the back works for an insurance company and several other organisations. So we're not here as corporate spokespeople, tools, plants, other unpleasant words. You know, we're here just as customers like you, but because we're interested in the technology and the ecosystem and helping to share some of the projects we've worked on and some of our experiences. We aren't the only group. There are regular meetings in the UK. Unfortunately, we did poll the other leaders. Are there any of the other UK-wide VMUG leaders in the room? Okay. So the people that are holding their hands up, you want to go and talk to those guys. So, you know, there are a number of other groups within the UK. So we're here, we represent the London group, but there is an equivalent in northeast of England, Yorkshire, Northwest, Southwest, Scotland, and Ireland. So the dates that we know about that are currently publicised are up on the display at the moment. If you want to find more about those events, there's a link in the bottom right-hand corner, which you can't read. Easiest thing to do is go to vmug.com and follow the linkage from there. We will be back here again next year. Unfortunately, because of some timing dates and some various organisations moving their major conference to later in the year, we will be here at the sort of middle-ish of December, so not a great time, I appreciate, but I think we'll make it interesting. It is worth pointing out, again, a lot of the content here is provided by volunteers, and we'll look at some of the community content in a little bit. I think it's important to point out, really, we can't do this without contribution from people that turn up to these meetings. You know, I first started out about 10 years ago, coming to the London meetings, talking about my little lab environment, which was 2 boxes I carried around on a trolley. Sad, I'm sure. But, you know, it was of interest, and really we looked to the community to come and talk about some of their interesting projects. There's a number of people here today who've presented for us previously at the London event and some of the other events around the UK. You know, some very interesting topics, and that's really what makes these days feasible, and not just to come and hear about VMware topics. There's a lot of stuff around the ecosystem that's important to hear about. It's important to say we obviously couldn't do this event, put it on an event of this scale in this location with the amount of facilities and tracks that we have here today without our sponsors. So, you know, we're very appreciative of our platinum, gold, and silver sponsors. You know, without those guys, this wouldn't be possible. You know, we're not here to sell you anything, like I said. I mean, there is a program called VMUG Advantage. I did just want to point out that the VMUG HQ organization provide. You know, there's a bunch of stuff it provides around, you know, discounts for technical training, etc. But for me, the standout thing, I am a person who has my own home lab environment, which my wife loves. I have a whole bunch of servers at home making noise and sucking power. You'll all appreciate it's quite difficult to get VMware licenses to run on these things unless you beg, borrow, or the third. If you take out the VMUG Advantage, which is not hugely expensive, you do get a 365-day license for all of those products in the slide that's too small for you to read on the right-hand side. But, you know, key call-outs there, you know, includes things like pretty much all the vRealize suite, and NSX, right? You know, those are licenses that you cannot really find in the wild to generally go on the website and get an eval for. In terms of looking at the agenda we have here today, you know, cram-packed, right? And I think it is important, the team have put a lot of effort into making sure that we've got a lot of parallel tracks We do this year have some repeat slots, or a repeat slot, so if we find something in the morning that's really popular, we will put that on. It's important, the only way we'll let you know which session that's going to be is the detail will be in the mobile app, which is a slide later on, but you can download that from your app store of choice. As you'll know, you're currently at the top. To the right-hand side, I did want to call out, we have these community mezzanine sessions, so downstairs where the kind of solutions exchange expo is, there's a raised area at the back which is signposted. We have some round tables throughout the day. There's some really good stuff here. Guys, I really would strongly encourage you to go and visit those. We've got guys there from VMware R&D. We've got a session with Joe Bagley, who's coming on stage after me, who's VMware's CTO. I would point out, for anybody who saw the original agenda, his session was titled Touch the CTO. So in light of recent legal developments, we've adjusted that, as you'll appreciate. There's a lot of really good stuff there. A lot of very prominent community members hosting discussion groups. Don't be shy. Everybody's quite friendly. It is a little bit difficult to hear up there, I will admit, because of the logistics of the room, but please do try and visit those. They're color-coded on here. They aren't on your agenda. So if you look in your bag, you'll have this little booklet. The first thing I would point out about this booklet is it does have the Wi-Fi code on the very front page. I managed to miss that, so I'm sure you will have probably done that as well. Throughout the day, we've got stripes of sponsor content, content from VMware speakers. We've got some very prominent VMware guys and girls here to come and talk about the latest products and technologies. We also have some really good content from our community speakers. We've got a session there on the new VMware technology on Amazon AWS, for example. So Ricky El Qasim, who's over here, has a whole bunch of giveaways, which he's asked me to remind you about in his session. 13 giveaways. And he assures me they're all good. So, come on later. And what we've done towards the end of the day, this is different for this year. We've got this kind of compressed session. It does look like a lot of sessions, but really that's an hour-long slot. But we tried to almost do speed dating a little bit for sponsors. So, rather than towards the end of the day sitting through a 50-minute session from a sponsor, we've broken them up into 20, 25-minute sessions, I think they are. So you can pick and choose which ones you want to do. And, everybody loves prizes, right? So back in here for 450 at the end of the day, where we'll be doing the prize draw. We'll talk more about those prizes in a second. We've also got a closing keynote from VMware around some of their cloud technologies, which is actually really good. I did mention this, so there is a mobile app on your app store. Download this. We'll be pushing notifications during the day from that. It's free, obviously, because I don't think anybody would pay for it anyway. But it's got the whole agenda on there, so if you lose this bit of paper, it's in the mobile app, as well as a floor layout, because this building can be a little bit confusing for anyone who's not been here before. We're on the ground floor here. There are 2 floors below us with a sort of a maze of rooms to keep your attention. You can also provide feedback during the day. So this slide's almost redundant because obviously there are no social media people in the room. However, if you want to provide some feedback throughout the day, feel free to tweet with those hashtags. I think this is quite cool, right? So this, you can actually download a free copy of the Host Resources Deep Dive, okay, sponsored by VMUG and Rubrik, right? This is actually really good for anybody who has looked into any of these books in the past. These are really the deep technical bibles of everything that runs in VMware land. You could scan the QR code there, or I'm sure there's some other method somewhere. Very worthwhile to do. In your booklet, there's also Passport for Prizes, which is at the back. I'm sure you've all seen these before. Sponsor booths. Go around and speak to those sponsors. There are some really interesting people downstairs with some really good solutions. Go and talk to them. They'll stamp your card, your dance card, as it were, and there'll be a draw at the end of the day for some of the prizes that we have. Now, anybody who's been here before knows we give away some quite cool prizes. This year, I actually really want some of them. Variety of things, drones. I think, if we all bought this, we'd all obviously look as cool as this guy. Scooting around Heathrow. And a 3D printer, which is actually, again, one of the prizes I would really like. But as we discovered last night, I'm not allowed to enter any draws.